For more dialogue on population data, just go to my playlist entitled Populations, where I share different content about population data. And I hope you enjoy this specific dialogue. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and I hope all is well for you today. And in this population-based series, we will be discussing anything from articles to news reports, potential conspiracy theories, and assessing population data. So if that's something you're interested in, hopefully you will enjoy this dialogue. And in this episode, we will be talking about news article. This article by The Conversation, entitled DRC has one of the fastest growing populations in the world. Why this isn't good news. Published July 11th, 2023. With 102 million people in 2023, the Democratic Republic of Congo is the fourth most populous country in Africa after Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Egypt. It's the 15th most populous country in the world. It's estimated that by 2050, the DRC will have 215 million people and join the world's 10 most populated countries. The country's population reflects higher than average growth compared to other countries on the continent. The DRC's population grew by 3.3% in 2022. The continent's average was 2.5%. The average world population growth rate was 0.8% in 2022. When it comes to numbers of births, Congolese women average 6.2 babies in their lifetimes. This is 4 births more than the global average of 2.3 babies. The DRC's fertility rate is driven by 4 major factors. Firstly, cultural values encourage people to have children. Large families are celebrated. The country's most recent demographic and health survey found that Congolese women on average wanted 6 children. Men wanted 7. Secondly, an early start to childbearing means more years of giving birth. More than 30% of girls in the DRC are married before they turn 18. About a quarter of young women give birth by their 18th birthday, as compared to 14% worldwide, and 27% of adolescent Congolese girls aged 15 through 19 have children. Thirdly, very few women use contraception in the DRC. The percentage of women of reproductive age who use an effective form of modern contraception was estimated at around 7% in 2018. This was up from 4% in 2007. The fourth factor driving population growth is the absence of a national population policy. This typically includes a set of measures designed to influence population dynamics. The article speaks about the impact the DRC's population can have, and I will not read those. The article also speaks about potential interventions needed to help limit the population of Congo. Conspiracy theory included. My conspiracy theory regarding this article is that it's meant to frame Congo as an unstable environment for people to exist, so therefore, let's make less of you, so to speak. Which is highly ironic, considering that many countries in this world face their difficulties, but limiting population isn't how they're discussed, considering that there are governments, and I've shared this in a different dialogue, who offer incentives for their populations. You would think that would be somehow relevant to this article. articles like these do not incite joy in the elite, in the powers that be, because my belief is that when it comes to our population, us existing at all is a threat, let alone us existing and having numbers that are set to continually grow. I don't believe articles such as these are meant to make Congo seem ideal. It's not going to be framed like, oh my gosh, yay, you guys are growing. It's going to be framed as, how do we stop this? And I can pretty much guess that this is stated with a sense of urgency. I believe that our birth rates and population data is a hindrance to external groups, and that could explain the maternal mortality rates of Black women even in countries where you would not expect them to have those difficulties. And then it also kind of goes full circle with my conspiracy theory. How do countries that are dealing with poverty, I know that that's how they often frame these things, like, oh, you guys are dealing with poverty, so just don't exist. Don't have children and limit yourself. But then explain how in countries that have much more wealth, the maternal mortality rate is higher. So should we, number one, think that it's disconcerting that in countries that are essentially extremely poor or third world, they're having extremely high and fast birth rates. But in countries that are Western, there's a limitation of proper health care for women who are of the same demographic. And then number two, is the problem poverty, or is there a deeper issue here? Because I just find it interesting that in the DRC, women are having so many babies, and that would imply the maternal mortality rate for them, even if it's high, is still enough to provide high replacement rates. So is the fear their existence or their poverty? Something to think about. I do have questions regarding what you may think about this article, or even just the information presented within, which is, how can we as a total demographic begin to realize the benefits of our population and begin to salvage our population and one another as resources? Because clearly external groups may not see it that way. What should we think about outside groups being concerned about our populations? What should we think about them making articles like these? It's one thing to be informative, but to what end? What is the political motive for this? Do you think articles like these are meant to inform us? Or do you think articles like these are meant to fearmonger and cause a discomforting reaction? At best, I could perceive that an article like this is meant to create paternalizing, oh, how do we help them views. Do you think that intervention measures should be considered to help lower the DRC's population and birth rates? What are your thoughts on the massive Congolese population size, their high birth rates, and their growth rates?
Well, that is all we have for today's episode, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion, where we looked at the populations of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for more.